Hey friends, welcome to the channel. I am Patrick God and I mainly create tutorials about web development with .NET, but apparently people like Angular pretty much. So I decided to create some more Angular stuff. I hope you like it, and well, you already read the title. Today it's about Angular material and a little Jumpstart, but I will use the tutorial from last week, meaning we created a full CRUD application with Angular 14 and a .NET 6 Web API. So I will also tell you in the tutorial then how to get this stuff, how to get the code, how to run it, how to install it in essence, and then you can use it with Angular material. But this is important. If you know all this, you can absolutely start from scratch and just watch the tutorial and use it with your own project, right? So you don't have to get the code from my GitHub repository from last week. You can also just use Angular material with your project or with a new project from scratch, right? So this is just a side note. And what are we going to do? Well, we will create a form where we can run all our CRUD operations. And regarding Angular material, we will use the button component or the button control. We will use a table, create a table, a bit more complicated, and also a form with input fields. So this is what we're going to cover in this tutorial now. And if you learned something and like it, I would really appreciate it, as always, guys, if you click the like button and maybe even subscribe to the channel. It does make a difference. So thank you so much. Don't forget the bell icon to get a notification for new videos, but maybe you probably get so many notifications anyway, so maybe just don't click the bell. But if you want, I'd appreciate it. And additionally, maybe you're interested in my newsletter. In that case, you will get these videos here earlier in your inbox, and also access to upcoming online courses earlier, and maybe also other stuff. So maybe this is interesting for you regarding .NET. I'm planning a bootcamp, so you will get information about that when you subscribe to the newsletter. And the last thing today, I've got water. This is a bottle with water, because it's extremely hot in here. So thank you so much for all your support, guys. I love you forever. As always, it is late, my toddler is at sleep. This is the baby phone, and I am really happy that it is silent. But when I recorded the tutorial, the actual tutorial, it wasn't. So yeah, maybe you will see the cuts, maybe not, let's see. But now enjoy the tutorial. All right, quick recap, or let's say preparation, just in case you want to use the project from last week's tutorial. In there, we created an Angular 14 client and a .NET 6 backend, just a simple web API with Entity Framework Core and a SQL Server database. And when you go down to the video description, then you find this link here, this GitHub repository. And in here, we created this client and the backend. And again, if you want to use this, please go to this URL and clone this repository. And by the way, thank you so much for all my 443 followers. This is just amazing. Thank you very, very much. If you also want to become a follower, then feel free to do that, to follow me on GitHub, and then you get all the tutorials, all the source codes. This is the term I was looking for. All the repositories for the tutorials are here on YouTube, and for online courses and so on. You get them here on my GitHub page. So thanks again. And when you cloned this repository, you get two projects. You see it here already. We've got the UI project, which is the Angular stuff, right? The default README, and also the API, which is the web API. And then you can open this stuff, and then it looks pretty much like that. Don't forget your npm install here for the Angular project. Angular should be installed, but we will install Angular material here together. So we will change this project here, of course, together. But regarding the API, if you want to use the API here, this is the API project. I'm using Visual Studio 2022 Community Edition here for that. Let's have a quick look. Yep, and I think, yeah, of course there is an update, so maybe I should update this IDE here. But nonetheless, what you have to do if you want to use the data from the database, then you have to update the database or run the migration. Meaning, here you see it. I know if you're not familiar with the .NET 6 world now, then this might be overwhelming, of course, but well, if not, or if you want to learn something, then this might be still interesting for you. We've got some migrations here for a database, the superhero database, and then we will create this table and with the database and so on. On the SQL Server database, I've got installed locally, so you also have to install the SQL Server locally, and maybe also this thing here, the SQL Server Management Studio. As you can see here, I've got no database regarding the superhero API at this particular moment. This is another database. This is from my .NET Jumpstart course. Little commercial here. But now let's just run the migration so you see how this stuff works. We've got the migration file here, Entity Framework Core, tools and so on should be installed. So again, it might make sense to watch last week's tutorial. But anyways, if you are already familiar with .NET 6, EF Core, the tools and so on, please run .NET EF database update. And then you should get the database. All right, that's it. Now let's go back to the SQL Server Management Studio. We refresh this. And there is our database, right? And we can have a look at the table. And this table is empty now. So let's get some data, I would say. We add Spider-Man, Peter, Parker, and the place is New York City. All right, and now let's go back to our Angular app. ng-served already is here. And with -o, we open our beautiful user interface. And then you will see why I want to change that with Angular Material. There it is. Great, right? Okay. Failed to... Oh yeah, of course, backend is not running. Make sure to also run the backend if you want to use it. And in a couple of seconds now... Oh, it already is. Is it already here? Think so. Let's just refresh. Yep. All right. Okay. I was expecting Swagger UI, but maybe I've got it on another tab. Yeah, there it is. This is what I was waiting for, because here now we can also run all the calls, right? Okay, so sorry about that if it is too overwhelming here and if you're new to the channel, but if you know my other videos, then you should be familiar with that stuff, I guess. But anyways, now Angular Material. So we've got this beautiful design here. We've got a button, we've got a table, and when we click edit, we've got a form, and here now we can change Spider-Man to Amazing Spider-Man, for instance. Amazing Spider-Man, we can save this. Reloads, and also in the database now we see this is Amazing Spider-Man. Isn't that great? And of course we can also add new heroes, delete them, update them, and so on. And now let's move on with Angular Material, and I want to do this together with you. What do I mean by that? Just go to the Angular Material page, to the documentation, Google for Angular Material, and then go to Getting Started, and then you will see how to do this. And the very first thing here is, well, we have to add Angular Material. So let's just copy this, go back here, stop the app, and run ng-add adds Angular /material. It is asking for a default theme, indigo pink. All right. Yep, why not? And we include the animations, and then everything is installed. And then the very first thing I want to change is the buttons, and this is done really, really quick. So, all right, this works now. And again, let's just run the application. You already see the changes here, lots of stuff actually. Okay, styles, index HTML, package JSON, of course, package log JSON, and the Angular JSON. And now let's just have a look at our page again. Nothing really changed. Well, the font a little bit, buttons a little bit, but still the styles are not pretty nice. So let's go to components now. or just double check, do we have to do something else? Well, here's an example for the material slider. But what I want to do again is use the button next. And this is how you do this. This is, in essence, this is the typical way. You go to the documentation of Angular material, look for the components, go to the component you want to use, and then you see these are the options here I've got. This looks nice. And then you will have a look at the codes and yeah, pretty much copy and paste it. But first, very important, you have to go to this API tab because you have to import the module you want to use. So if we want to use the button here, we cannot simply use it like that with this mat button attribute here. This would not work. First, we have to import the module. So copy this. And then we go to our Angular JSON, no, not the Angular JSON, what the hell, no. I mean, we go to the app module, of course, and then here, paste this and also add the mat button module, format this a little bit, and now we've got it. And here now, in the app component HTML, this create new hero button, for instance, right? Looks like that, but what we can do is when we have a look here, I want to use, let's use the stroked one, and we scroll a bit further down, mat stroked button with the primary color, back to Visual Studio Code, save it, it is rebuilding, and voila, there is our Angular material button. Isn't that nice? What I don't like is the spacing here, so I would like to have more space to the border of the screen. So let's add something called card, the material card, right? With that we get some more space. Why not use this thing? So this is just one tiny thing I want to add here. We add the card and also down here now the mat card module. All right. And then we just add it here on top. This is the mat card, and here at the bottom as well. And now I hope, yeah, we have more space here. This looks better now. Okay. This is it actually for the buttons. But one more thing we can do, when we see the form here, I see this row of buttons and there's no spacing in between them and they don't look nice as well. So let's change that real quick, and then we are actually already done with the button component. So back to Visual Studio. And now we've got this component here, the edit hero component. This is in essence the form here. So when we just reload the page and then we go to edit, and then this is this component. Let's just double check here in the app component HTML, already open. We've got the button, right? Then the table, and then the app edit hero component. That's this thing here. And in here now, we've got this button row, right? So what we can do is, not the mat card, see, copy pasting, works like a charm. This is what I wanted. For the update hero button and for the create hero button, we use the primary color, and here we use the secondary color. Format this, then this looks even better. And now when we go to edit, here we see the save button and something is wrong here. Yep, was a little typo, crazy. So now here we see the save button and the delete button. When we go to create new hero, we see the create button, right? So this was done with this little if clause here, in essence, the ngIf. So if we've got a hero ID, then we display the delete hero button and the update hero button. But if not, then we know this is a new hero, so we want the create hero button. But now again, I don't like the spacings here, no margins, paddings whatsoever. And I had a look at the documentation here, And now let's have a look together. Right click and inspect, and then, Jesus, display size is at 150%. This looks a bit different than before, but anyways, I think we can find this together. We've got the button overview example, the section, and I actually wanted to see. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, this is what I wanted to see, because you see that here, I think the spacing here is okay. It looks good, but it's not there by default. And when you have a look here, you see that they've added the margin of 8 pixels, and the classes are example button row and mat button base, and this mat button base is in essence overridden. So we have to override this class. So let's try that first. When we go here, or you know what, let's just copy this. Or in essence, we can see it here in the CSS file. Right, we've got this thing here. And now, not sure about that, but when we just do it like that, let's have a look. Already works. All right, so we just to recap this real quick, we do not add the mat button base class here anywhere. So we've just got our button, but with this thing here, with mat stroked button, this button gets this class, and then we override this class here in essence, and then it gets this margin. So this is what I wanted to show you. And now we are done with buttons in essence. I like that. It looks good. Okay, buttons are done. Next, the table. This should really be a quick jump start, and the table is a component that is a bit more complicated. So we just scroll a bit further down. We can actually close this. And now here, the mat table. First, as always, we import the mat table module. So in our app module, we do this, and then also mat table module. All right, and now with this out of the way, we see this beautiful table here and crazy code. So what do we have here? We've got the mat table with a data source. Don't need the class. This is okay. And then for every column, we need an ng container with a th, with some crazy stuff here, and also, of course, the actual cell with the element, and then we can choose some property of the actual element here. But then, very important, we also have to configure the displayed columns, and this is done with this code down here. So mat header row definition, and the displayed columns is then a member in the actual class, in the component. And then here for the row, we also have to use this line of code, right? And this is actually explained down here. So if you want to read it again, then please do. But yeah, we can just do it, and then you don't have to go over this text. So I would say first, you see it here in the TypeScript file, we've got our data source, and then also the displayed columns, right? And then real quick, this is also defined here, right? So the template, and then the row template here is called columns to display. So what you want to use is actually up to you. And let's just use this one here in my case. So we go to the TypeScript file, and now here we say columns to display. And I actually want to see the name, the first name, the last name, the place, and then we will also add another column for the button, and we will call this then button. All right, and now in the HTML, let's just comment this out and write a new table. So back to the documentation. again, we just copy and paste this stuff like that maybe. And now here our data source is heroes, right? Because here in the ng on init you see it, get superheroes. This then calls the superhero service, and this thing will make a call to our web API. So this is now our data source. We don't need that. And we actually don't need this as well. And maybe just remove that stuff. So we can only use the things we really need. This is now columns to display, right? And we can already start now with the name column. Give this also a header here called name. And this is a hero in our case. And we want to see the hero name. Okay, now let's see already how this looks. And it says could not find column with ID first name. All right. Ah, I see. We need the doc. Okay. Didn't do it like that last time I tried it. So when we remove this now, it works. Displays the name Amazing Spider-Man. Great. So we're already getting there. But apparently we have to also add these things. So they have to really match. The first name has to be there in our HTML. So I would say, again, let's copy and paste this. This is our first name then. Also here, the first name. And also here, the first name. Then the last name. The last name, no wait, last name, like that. Here it's the last name, and almost done. Here this is the place. This is our place, and this as well. And the last one then is the bottom column. So this is really the name here. This is the button. The mat column definition name, it's the button here, and again here it's also button, right? So these have to match, and here I don't need any text at all. And regarding this thing, I want to add another button actually, this button here. So let's add it, and again this is a mat button, and the color is primary, and this now should be it already. Okay, let's see. Oh, we have to save this as well, of course. And there's our table, but this does not really look nice, so I would say we also change the CSS for every table. You just say the width is 100%. Okay, and this looks better now. All right, so actually we already got the button, got the table, and the last thing is the form. Of course, also a little bit complicated maybe at first, but when you're done watching this tutorial, it's easy and simple for you, right? So form field, this is the stuff we need now. And you see it here, the mat form field component it is. And again, we import the mat form field module. So to the app module here, and down here it's the mat form field module. And I can already tell you that we need one more, because what we want to use is an inputs. We have a look at our code, because now comes this component here. We see some input fields, just standard HTML input fields. And what we can do is we can, well, make them a bit prettier. And this is the new way apparently. And when you have a look at the code, you see this attribute, appearance fill. And in the documentation it says, here, out of the box, if you do not specify an appearance for the mat form field, it will default to legacy, so the old one, and this is the old one. All right, so I just leave it up to you which one you want to use. And since I'm a lazy coder, I just copy and paste this thing. And then we just see how this looks, right? So let's have a look here. We have this div. That's okay. We close the mat form field like that. And then we've got our input now. And when we have a look again here, this is just input mat input, so no variable, nothing at all. And this then is the material input field. So I would say let's just save this and have a quick look if it's rebuilding. Ooh, what's that? Did not expect that at all. Mat form field must contain a mat form field control. What the hell, Angular material? But I've got a mat form field, what was it? Field control. I've got a mat input. Well, of course, what do we have to do? This is a new control, so we have to also import this module here, right? So again, form field is just one thing you have to add for all these form fields here, but you've got the inputs, here you see it as well. You've got the selects, you've got text areas and so on. Sliders, no, sliders not a form field, I guess. But anyways, there are form fields, and if you want to use them, like the input, for instance, or the select, you also have to, again, import this module here. So we want to use the input. Let's copy this. And then back to the app module. Paste this again. Mat input module it is. And now, like magic, it works. We've got amazing Spider-Man. Isn't that nice? All right, now let's also change the others. Where was it? Jesus. Here it is. Okay, so we've got the mat form field. Now what's the faster way? Copy paste and override it here. Well, maybe. So let's just paste it here. Call it input. Nice. This is actually the name. So let's do this again. Well, no. The first name it is. And now here again, it's the first name. Placeholder also first name. Let's also copy this, paste it here. The last name, as always, it's late, right? Maybe someday I can do these tutorials at another time. And then I won't make all these errors. But I read your comments, of course, and people seem to like the errors, because then you also see how to fix them. And maybe this is helpful. I hope so. Really hope so. Okay, place, and now here also the place. Little typo here, and I think we are done now. Maybe we can remove this, don't really need this. Oh, and one more thing. Again, I just want to add a card here for the spacing. So this should be here then. Let's have a look. Edit. Yeah, why not? This looks nice. So we've got Amazing Spider-Man. We can save this, refresh. We see now it's loading Spider-Man, and in the database, same thing. And now let's also add another hero. Oh no, not edit. Jesus. Spider-Man is great. And don't really have to save this, but anyway. New hero, Iron Man, Tony Stark. Password? Is it a... no. Why password? It's just an input. Okay, Google. What's going on here? Place Malibu. Create. There it is. Iron Man, Tony Stark living in Malibu, and we can have a look in the database. This is the backend part, also works. Nice, so this works just great, I guess. Half an hour and you're done with Angular material and a really quick introduction, a jump start to Angular material. But I hope that you now have an idea how to, well, use the material, the Angular material, components, controls, you name it. And again, I will push this to GitHub, and then you can grab the code and create something amazing. One more hint, I will not push this to the master branch. Let me create a new one, create a new branch, and let's call this Angular material, like that. All right, and now edit Angular material, publish branch. There it is. And now back to, just to double check, GitHub here, superhero ng. And now we see the two branches, right? So here now you can decide if you want to use the branch from the first tutorial, or here the Angular material branch, where you also then see the components, the controls of Angular material. There you have it. Make sure to use the correct branch if you want to get the code. Link to the GitHub repository again is in the video description, and this is a start for Angular material. So if you like that, if you want to see more Angular material stuff, then again, please write it down in the comment section. Then I will do my best to create more tutorials. But if you already learned a lot and like this tutorial, I would really appreciate it if you click the like button, subscribe to my channel. It does make a difference. Thank you so much for everybody who already subscribed. This is simply amazing how many subscribers we've already got here. And again, maybe the bell icon if you want to get a notification for new videos. Additionally, maybe you want to have a look at the newsletter for these videos earlier in your inbox, and also early access to upcoming courses like the .NET Developer Bootcamp. In there, we'll cover not only the backend, but also the front end with Blazor. Maybe now also a little bit of Angular. You like it? So maybe this is something for the bootcamp, and maybe also a quick look at React. This is also something I want to do here on this channel. So again, if you have more ideas for other front ends, Vue.js for instance, I have no idea. I never did anything with Vue.js, but maybe this is also interesting. So I'm happy to learn it and then teach you guys. So this is the newsletter. And the last thing, again, thank you so much for all your support, all the coffees, teas, water, orange juices, whatever it is, hot chocolates. Hot chocolate would be nice. Maybe I'm making a hot chocolate in a minute when this recording here is done. If you want to support me too, check out the links in the video description. Thank you so much. Sun is asleep. This is nice. And now I can only say thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more, then check out these videos here on the side. Maybe there's a tutorial that is also interesting for you, and then maybe there's another one, and then you can just binge watch all my tutorials. Thank you so much for your time, and I really hope I see you next time. Take care.